Hello, welcome to St. John Newman Parish. I hope all of you feel at home here today. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank all of you who have been so generous in the past. This last month we had, as every month, the first Sunday of the month is for our land loan reduction payment, and this last week we almost made our payment, the full payment, so thank you to all of you who are giving. And of course this is the first Sunday, so I just want to make you all aware that I am so grateful for what you continue to do as far as bringing down that debt. And I also want to thank those who have been so generous in bringing food for our food pantry here at the parish. There's a growing need, as always, for food, and your generosity has helped us minister to hundreds of families, so thank you. And just to build awareness that there's a case lot sale this week, I ran into one of our parishioners and he informed me that not to let people forget that there's a case lot sale at Smith's this weekend where you can just go and buy a case of corn or a case of green beans or a case of stew. I saw that in the advertisement. That sort of stuff goes a long way to help feed needy families of our parish community. Thank you very much for your past support, and I look forward to your continuing support.
Please pray for the repose of the soul of Herman Pegis, whose funeral mass will be on Monday, October 3rd at 1 p.m. Please pray for the repose of the soul of Oscar Kahlo, whose funeral mass will be Saturday, October 8th at 1 p.m. Our 40 Days of Prayer for Life at St. John Newman continues daily at 3 p.m. in the worship space through Sunday, November 6th. This is a time of prayer to support the 40 Days of Prayer for Life. Details of this special prayer time are in the bulletin. Our next bereavement ministry meeting will be on Thursday, October 6th from 6 to 7:30 in Classroom 115. This ministry is an adult support group who assists the bereaved in understanding the process of grief. Join us for a time of prayer before the Blessed Sacrament exposed on the altar in our worship space for our next First Friday Eucharistic Adoration on Friday, October 7th. At the conclusion of the 8 a.m. Mass, the Blessed Sacrament will be exposed for silent prayer until simple benediction service at 12 noon. The Eucharistic Adoration sign-up sheet will be located in the gathering space this weekend for you to choose a time in which to participate. Just a reminder, the Martha's and Mary's Women's Ministry will be hosting another bundt cake sale after Masses on Saturday and Sunday, October 8th and 9th. For $5 a buntlet, it's a great deal, available until we run out. Did you bring in candy donations today for our upcoming trunk or treat event? Great! Our candy cart is located in the gathering space for you to drop off your donations, and thank you. I am the bread of life. You come to me.
Hello, welcome back. You know, last week we talked about the gathering rite, how we gather from home, how we come as individuals, but we gather to be one, right? That we come to worship God as one. And that's shown even in our gathering rite as we process into the church. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the crucifix that we hoist up and carry in at the beginning of the liturgy. So shortly after the cantor greets everybody, welcomes them, they may give us a few small announcements or whatever. There's a moment of silence, and then we start with the entrance procession. And most of people think, oh, that's just to get the priest up front, right? Get those altar servers in the sanctuary. But actually the procession has a lot of meaning and a purpose. Yes, it does get us from one destination to another, but it comes from a time in the church when it wasn't uncommon. There might be some people in the church, but it might be that more people are out in the courtyard in front of the church, and they follow the procession and they follow the crucifix. They follow the image of Christ into the space. So today, because we have pews or we have seats, people go and claim their space and they're sitting tight, right? So they're not necessarily out in the courtyard before Mass, following the crucifix in, following the altar servers in. But in the early church, there were no pews. People stood throughout the Mass. There was no place to sit down, really. Those gigantic cathedrals in Europe that you see, there were no pews. And to this day, there are no pews. They have chairs that they lash together in some of those grand old buildings. Well, when this crucifix comes in, it's carried as a trophy. And you might have wondered about that. It comes from our ancient Roman traditions. It wasn't uncommon that when the ancient Roman general or whatever was returning after a battle, that they had an elaborate procession into Rome. There's something about that. They were triumphant. They were following their standard into the city, and everybody was witnessing and celebrating them. Well, in today's world, it's not so different. You just have to watch a community that's won the Stanley Cup, right? They go bananas, and there's a parade, right? I remember when I was a child and the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl. Well, that was crazy. There was a parade down through downtown streets. And even more recently here, when the Aces won the national championship, we had a parade. So that's not something so uncommon. And that's what we're doing. We're parading and we're following our standard. And we're following our trophy, so to speak. We're following who we are, what we identify with. We follow Christ, and Christ is the one that brought us to this meal. And so this week, as we contemplate the gathering rites continuing, and as we contemplate how we follow Christ throughout our daily lives, we realize that we have followed him here. Our gathering rites, whether we did Bible study during the week or we prepared music for the Sunday, it brought us here. And as we joyfully and triumphantly follow Christ here, we open up with a gathering hymn, usually very triumphant in nature. We gather and we sing together, and we sing together because we are one, and that's one way we can show that we're one. A lot of people, they perhaps refrain from singing the opening hymn, right? Because they think their voice is weak, or it's not the right pitch or the right tone. It's the voice God gave you. I want to invite you to sing along. Just imagine if you went to a birthday party and everybody started, "Happy birthday to you." Would you not sing? As that cake is brought in and everybody is honoring the person whose birth they're celebrating, and you would sit there and go, no, you wouldn't, because it's a celebration. Just as the Eucharist, the Holy Mass is a celebration. So just imagine all those people going crazy, welcoming a triumphant team back from a championship, or welcoming back their army from a battle well run. We too are celebrating. We're celebrating Christ's victory over sin and death, because we are people who believe in Christ's victory over sin and death, and we want to celebrate that with great gusto.